Hi, Blake Winters, professional EOS implementer. And today, continuing on with our series of working through the 6 key components of the EOS model, it brings us to component 3, which is the data component. Now, the data component is simple and straightforward, as all great data should be. It's about running your business on facts, figures, and objective information rather than feelings and egos and emotions. Getting clear on numbers that drive this business forward. Now, we make predictions on what we want to accomplish over the year. We make predictions over what we want to accomplish over the quarter. Now, when we get to the end of those times, the end of the quarter, the end of the year, it really shouldn't be a surprise on how we performed, what our results are. Unfortunately, for a lot of organizations, it's like a great unveiling of how did we actually do this year? We don't do that. We ask ourselves, what do we need to do to win the week, and show me with numbers. And that's where our scorecard comes into play, which is the first discipline that we use to strengthen the data components. We look below the big numbers like revenue or profit. Those are important. That's what we're ultimately marching towards. But we're interested on a weekly level on what actually drives revenue, what actually drives profit, what is a number that we can react to that we know influences the ultimate outcome. Now, I'm going to go ahead and compare this to a football game since it's football season, the best time of the year. My Sooners are 4-0, and I've been watching a lot of football on the weekends. So, at the end of a football game, when you look up at the scoreboard, what matters? It's which team has more points than the other. But if we take that one layer below and we look at what actually drives that score, we might see things like third down conversion, turnover margin, passing yards, rushing yards, tackles for losses or turnovers, time of possession, amongst other things. And we know that if our team, the team that we ultimately want to win, is where they need to be against each of those metrics, then likely at the end of the game, when the clock hits 0, we look up at the score, we're going to see a score where we ultimately won the game. And that's what we're trying to do with this scorecard for your business. We're trying to say, okay, we're trying to make revenue, we're trying to make profit, but on a weekly level, what actually drives us doing that? What is going to help us achieve those quarterly and annual goals? So with that, we come up with 5 to 15 measurables. Some of you may be saying, Blake, only 5 to 15? Yes, only 5 to 15. The amount of teams I've had that have come to me with about 75 things that need to be on this simplified scorecard, I've got a pretty good track record of trimming things down. Some people love data, some people don't. It's important that we highlight what's truly important, what truly moves the needle, and let the other numbers be taken care of somewhere else. So first, we need to get down to the 5 to 15 numbers that truly give us a picture on how we're performing. And then we need to peg that against a goal. Does it need to be above that number, at that number, below that number, etc., to define what success looks like? And that's what we're going to hold ourselves accountable to. Now, as a team, we're all accountable, but within each measurable, there's a specific owner. And we're not just picking an owner at random here. We're looking at the accountability chart, if you recall from the people video I did earlier, and saying, okay, whose roles and responsibilities line up with new leads? New leads is probably a marketing function. Blake's in the marketing seat. He's accountable to make sure that we get at least 15 new leads every single week. We do that for all of our measurables, and then we migrate that discipline down into the organization so that every single person in the organization has a measurable, which is a number that they're on track to keeping on track every single week. Now, rephrased differently, everyone has a number. Everyone has a number, and everyone's accountable to keeping that number on track. And when the number's off track, it gives us something to react to. We can pull levers, we can make changes, solve issues to get things back on track, help us towards achieving our goals. And the last thing here is this scorecard has 13 weeks of history at a glance. My whiteboard is not that big, so you're only seeing about 5 or 6 weeks here. Imagine there's 13 weeks, so we can see over a rolling quarter patterns and trends developing, being alerted when we're being successful, when we're having failures, issues to solve, things that need to get put back on track. We can see that in a clear picture with our scorecard. So that's the data component, scorecard and measurables. It's fairly simple as it should be. If you have any questions about the data component in your business, if you have any questions more broadly about EOS as a whole, please reach out to me and I'm more than happy to help. Thank you.